Folks, welcome back. This is Chris in South Africa for a special interview with someone who is among that first cohort of people who have been designated to go to America under President Trump's offer of refugee status for South Africans, Afrikaners suffering unjust racial discrimination. This is Athea van Straten, correct?
Yes, sir.
We've been in touch for some time, and unlike many people involved in this program, she doesn't have a big mouth, and neither do I.
What you know about?
Yes. So it's here. It's the 10th of May, and she will be in the first cohort of people going to the United States in the refugee program and leaving South Africa on the 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Be a historic day in many ways.
Yes, and it's terrifying.
It's a bit frightening because you're walking out the door, aren't you?
Walking out the door, don't know where I'm going, don't know what's going to happen. I have absolutely no idea. I'm basically putting my faith and my trust in my life in the hands of
the Americans.
States.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a huge responsibility for us now. You've put your life in our government's hands, and I would like to think that we're going to do right by you. So I hope that's the case. Well, let me ask you a question. Were you one of the folks that contacted the Afrikaners or the South African Chamber of Commerce or the PRM email?
No, the PRM email.
So that's how you got in touch with the
Yes.
U.S. State Department.
Yes.
And how long after you sent it did they get back with you?
It was approximately 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Was that nerve-wracking?
It was.
I can imagine.
Because you see everybody, well, we're on like local groups, WhatsApp groups,
Mm-hmm.
and you see guys popping up and saying, I've got an interview, and I've got an interview.
And you're not getting one.
You're thinking, what have I done wrong? Did I not say enough? Did I not do enough? And you're tempted to send another email, but don't.
Yeah, and the people ask me that all the time, and I said, look, I don't recommend it, but I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I mean, because I don't think that's going to help you just jam their mail server.
They just not. It just bogs it up, and it's going to take longer to get back
for everybody else as well.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks, I'm sure it was a bit nerve-wracking. What prompted you to have an interest in this offer from Trump?
It's not safe. I mean, I've survived 4 attacks.
You're a farmer.
Yes.
Okay, what kind of farmer?
We've got a guest farm.
Okay.
And we also have cattle. We've turned into a spontaneous rescue center. So
okay.
We've got some horses and donkeys and goats and.
So it's a menagerie.
Mm.
But you've had 4 farm attacks.
Yes.
I shudder to ask this question. Has anyone been killed? Hopefully no one's been killed.
No, but close.
Close.
Yeah. I got severely injured. Someone else got really badly injured. A big boulder holded their head.
Wow.
So yeah, it was. I mean, my first picture were the United States at the embassy. I was sporting a nice blue swollen eye and a bruised cheek from that morning.
So your most recent farm attack was while you were applying for refugee status?
Yes, sir.
And I don't imagine that, well, you didn't apply, you expressed interest. Let's be clear about that.
No.
So when you express interest, so after expressing interest, you had a farm attack.
Yes.
And we were already in touch at that stage.
Yes.
And I didn't realize, I think you told me that, but maybe it didn't sink in because I've got so many things going on, and I apologize if I didn't recall that. So that's just insane. And your farm, is it in the Free State? Is that where you're at?
Yes, in the Free State.
And things have gotten quite bad. 4 attacks, and that's over what time span?
2 years.
2 years. So, we've talked about it being nerve-wracking. And also, I've talked a lot in my program about the tension rising across South Africa for ethnic minorities, for South Africans in general, but ethnic minorities specifically, and the challenges people are facing here. 2 years, that's recent. So you hadn't suffered a farm attack in the previous 20-some years?
No.
Never happened. All right, now here's the thing that's probably gut-wrenching. So you're going to the States, and I assume you've sold your farm and you got a whole bunch of money and you're going over there with a big bank account.
Nope.
That'd be a false assumption, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
So can you tell the viewers what's happening to your farm?
Well, at this stage, there are some people that is taking care of it. We are trying to sell it. I don't know how long that's going to take, but at this point in time, it's me, myself, and whatever I've got in my banking accounts.
And a couple of suitcases.
And a couple of suitcases. That's it.
Wow, that's courageous.
If it doesn't get sold, it doesn't get sold. That's it. I mean,
you're taking that risk.
I'm taking that risk.
It's that scary.
It's that scary.
I was interviewed by Dutch television a short while ago at our meet and greet at Opiplas here in Pretoria. Oh, we're in Pretoria. This is embargoed, so nobody will know until after you're in America.
Yes.
Yes, but we're in Pretoria, and the Dutch film crew interviewed me, and they kept asking one of the questions, like, what justifies President Trump granting this status? And my response was the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1980. But their more important question was, why white South Africans? To which I replied, why do you say white? The executive order doesn't say that. It says Afrikaners. My point here is that you're giving it all up because of what's happening,
Yes.
in hopes that you'll be safe on the other side. You're that concerned that your life might be ended,
Yes.
or more horrible
Yes.
things happen to you and
Yes.
you survive.
Yes.
Wow, I mean that's quite a drastic step, and you must be, I don't want to say at wit's end or at the end of your rope, but to give up everything to go. But you know, it may be difficult because you've got something built here. But let's go back in history. You're an Afrikaner.
Mm-hmm.
Your people, which included contributions from the Germans and from the Dutch and the French Huguenots, and some Khoi and San is mixed in there a little bit for some folks. Your people, minus the Khoi and San, they were already here, but the rest came here for another opportunity to start something new at some point in the past, and they were looking for that next thing over the hill. Many of them came with nothing, and you're replicating that history. Is this the Great Trek 2.0? No, it's just your Trek.
Great Trek 3.0.
Okay.
Because my great-great-great-grandparents came in on the ship the Shelter in 1675.
Very early.
Yes. So my grandpa was great-grandpa, was Kuluami Neil, and he was married to Jean de la Bette, and they were French Huguenots. And then when the Great Trek started in 1843 or 48, I think.
38 is when the round started, but it continued at that time,
yes.
in that time frame.
That was, for our family, it was Great Trek 2.0.
So this
now
is
it's
3.0. But this is your track.
Yes.
You're making this journey.
Yeah.
Do you have any apprehensions? Are you concerned about what waits on the other side?
I'm terrified.
You're terrified. So I don't mean to laugh at your circumstance, but I empathize. It's not easy. You know, I've moved all over the world, but under the aegis of being an Army officer with that support system and, you know, and moving from place to place. You don't have that.
No.
You're going to America. I mean,
I'm landing on the other side, and I'm waiting for them to say, okay, well, come with me, you know, kind of thing, and just having trust and faith that there's a place for me where I can sleep and eat and, you know, find a job quickly so I can become self-sufficient. Because one thing about the Afrikaners is we're very proud and we are tenacious and very independent. We want to take care of ourselves. We don't want to be a burden on anybody. So for us, it's how quickly can I get out there in the job market, start contributing towards the economy so that I'm not taking money from somebody that needs it more than I do. So that's our focus, you know, just where do I sleep, where it's safe, that I can actually sleep. I haven't slept in, I cannot tell you how many years, because your subconscious is so programmed.
You wake up at any sound.
Every sound that is not supposed to be there. It brings you out of REM. Just to lay down.
Post-traumatic stress disorder is what it is.
It's exhausting.
I'm sure it is.
It's exhausting.
So I can understand why you want to go.
Yeah.
Do you feel fortunate in some respects that you sent that message in and you finally got that?
Yes.
Was it a call or an email when they came back?
No, it was an email first.
Yes.
And then a call came like late at night.
Was it from America?
No,
or
from the embassy.
From the okay.
From the embassy. It was like 6:45 at night. Was the call to say, would I be willing to go soon? Would I be willing to come in the next week on this day for this interview, for the medical, for this? So they kind of laid it out. And then I got a call after that again the same night, confirming that. And then the next morning I received an email confirming that. What I do want folks to understand, and I see this absolute panic, and we do that.
And this is why we're talking.
Yes, we run around like ants. Oh, I've got to get my passport. Oh, I've got to get my police clearance. Oh, I've got to get my birth certificate before I send the email. No,
just send the email.
Send the email first, then go and do that stuff, so that when they do call you, that you're there, so that you can get into the line. And no, you don't need a police clearance.
No, that's a South African thing.
Yeah, and you
I told
don't
people they
need
didn't
it.
need
They're
that.
they're wasting their
Time and money.
Yes.
And also tipping people off that might be interested in the program.
I mean, who better than the United States to do a background check on you? Come on now.
Well, we will do background checks and things that you know about the
Right.
background, but we're not going to take a certificate from police in a country. We'll do the checks ourselves.
Because, you know.
Yes, we know that happens. I'm not saying
Yeah.
South Africa, but that happens in countries in general. And
Yeah.
so we deal with that. So people have asked me a lot of questions. Let me ask you, if I got something wrong from your experience so far, because I'm not in the status, is anything I've ever told you being wrong?
No, you have been absolutely spot on. And what I appreciate about you is your brutal honesty, your no BS. You call us out in our BS.
Yeah.
You put us back in our boxes.
Well, that's not my intent. Just don't want people to bullshit
but we
people.
need it because sometimes people behave like children.
Well,
and you've got
there
to
is some of that.
refocus. Yeah, but you've got to refocus and get on topic. And they tend to go like, you know, and it's frustrating for the others is actually trying to get answers.
So for you, let me just round up the cost. Let's see, you had to do medical, that costs R1 million. You're paying for your flight, that's 2 million rand. So this costs you a fortune.
Oh yeah, and then I'm going to stay in a FEMA tent.
Yes. So the cost to you
Zero.
$0.
Nothing.
You expressed interest.
Nothing.
No, except you had to travel to Pretoria.
Well, yes,
for
the traveling is the traveling cost.
Yes. For now, they just did it in Pretoria.
Yes.
Now, have they? I've called this a proof of concept, an initial cohort of people going. Does that resonate with you? What is going on?
It does. It does. I think we're
a test case.
Yes, we're the first
guinea pigs
for trekkers that's heading into the mountains.
Okay.
Not knowing where we're going, packing up what we can into our little wagons, and we'll just face whatever is coming. And I know we're going to face a storm when we get on the other side.
You are. There's going to be a backlash.
Yes.
There's going to be haters.
Oh, absolutely.
Mostly on this side. There may be a few on that side.
Yeah.
We've already seen it from the media. People like, why white people?
Yes.
Well, not to bring race into the issue, but why not white people? And we've given refuge to people from all over the world for decades. Almost none of them Europeans, except the Ukrainians recently. And so why not? People are people. What they appear to be on the outside really doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. And what a lot of the propaganda media that is fueling this fire, that's spewing all this garbage, does not understand is we might not be an active war zone, but it is war out there.
Well, from a lot of people's perspectives, I would agree with you. But there are people in South Africa, white South Africans, Afrikaners, who think that that's nonsense, that's rubbish. My argument about those folks is that they live in gated communities, and many of them have the wealth and resources to make sure their kids go to places where they're not dealing with this, and they don't see this daily harassment and attacks.
No. I would love for those that say stuff like that. Go to my farm.
Spend a couple nights there.
Go live there for 6 months. No, I'm not going to be cruel. Let's do it 3 months. And then come back and then spew that again.
Yes. But it's not just farms, though. It's people in general are under pressure. I talked to a lady in Blauberg, as I say, because I mispronounce Afrikaans, So I said Blauberg in the Western Cape after my meet and greet, and she told me a story about how just recently, and that's a very upscale, nice area, where she was in the parking lot, and this is not an attack on black South Africans, so you hate wankers that want to say that, just go away. But it's just the fact that it happened. She walked to the parking lot with her infant, it had like a pick and pay or checkers, and guy came over and said, "Give me your keys." And she was like caught off guard. It wasn't like he was going to hit her or something like that. She's like, "What? Give me your keys." "Why?" "Well, aren't you a refugee? Why don't you fuck off to America and give me your keys?" Okay, that sort of petty harassment, which isn't so petty, especially if you have an infant in your hands, is something that shouldn't happen.
It's hate.
And it's been building and manifesting, and it's being stoked by politicians, and it's quite frightening.
It is very scary, especially if you're on the receiving end of it. Having the property that you work really hard for, that you pay lots of money for, that you put a lot of sweat into, to have people just come and starting to invade it and taking over. Well, if you come and I'm not going to go into too many details.
Sure. We don't want to go into details of your tax. That's not necessary.
It's not yours, but they've been told it's okay do it.
Mhm.
And it's not right. And
No,
there's
of course it's not
nothing
right.
that
It's
we can
morally
do about
bankrupt.
it. Yes.
And that's the thing, for so long, white South Africans in particular have been largely silenced.
Yeah.
And those who stand up are attacked by leftist white South Africans in
Yes.
particular in the media and called all sorts of things. If someone talks about farm attacks, you're called a racist. Well, but farm attacks affect Black, colored, and Indian South Africans too.
It does.
It's a horrible thing in the rural areas. That's why I've talked about rural insecurity for so long.
Well, I've got a over 35-page document with names of the farmers that had been killed since 1994, along with the farms that they were on. So they cannot tell us that it's not real.
It is real.
It's
and
very
as I
real.
said, it's not just in the farms, but
No.
but that's getting the attention. But I do challenge people once again, you are a farmer, but as I said, the executive order doesn't say farmers.
No,
it doesn't say whites either.
In fact, there was a couple of people with me that that done the medical that was with me, and it's a long process. So people must be very patient. Yeah,
got a few jabs, huh?
And dewormed like a puppy.
Dewormed like a puppy. All right. Well, I don't mean to laugh about that, but it's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. And they're not farmers.
Yeah. Well, I know, because I know some business people who were part of that preliminary group, roughly 100, we believe, that came up and were interviewed. People came up from Western Cape, came up from KZN, came from the Free State, around the country.
Port Elizabeth.
Port Elizabeth. People thought it was just here, but
no.
So I've described at the very beginning what I believe to be a pilot project, a test case, because we don't do in-country refugee status very often.
No.
And so maybe we're a little rusty and we need a proof of concept. That's what I've been describing. And that would appear to be the case. If they just want to get a sense of a couple people, they could just ask people in Pretoria to come to the embassy. But they didn't do that. They asked people from around the country if they're willing to come. And I know people that paid to fly up here and stayed in a hotel and rented a car because it's that important.
Exactly. If it's so important to you, you will make it work. One way or the other. You'll make it work. You'll travel. Just get it done.
So a lot of people don't know. Nobody knows. In fact, just you and I know. No one knows your name. No one knows that we've been in contact.
No.
I've protected your identity because I'm concerned about your safety.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate that. And that's trust.
A little emotional.
And that's trust. We are not in the trust business.
Who, Afrikaners?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Very suspicious lot. I'll tell you, it's Afrikaners are a very suspicious lot. I still get asked, why do you care about South Africa? Why are you interested in here? And my answer, of course, is the oil or the border I see. So,
well, we do hope that you get a very nice one soon,
or
on one of your trips.
Well, it's a mission failure. My 5th trip over doing this, and I haven't been chatted up by a border I see once. So. Although I was chatted up by a lovely Tani earlier.
Well,
so
there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
So at the light in the moment there, we're getting a little emotional. I was certainly emotional.
Yeah,
so I'm sorry, but there's no Steers. There's no Mug and Bean. There's no Edgar's. There's no Roman's Pizza.
I
don't care. We have things like Wendy's and McDonald's and...
I don't like McDonald's.
Well, I don't blame you. But we have a host of things over there. So it's going to be different. You are a Afrikaner who is largely, if not entirely, of white European descent and have many things culturally aligned as Christian. I believe you're Christian, I assume.
Yes.
And you speak an Indo-European language with Americans. However... there are cultural differences. Americans don't know what bride cookies are.
Well, we're going to have to teach them no onions.
That's right, no onions. But they barbecue instead of bride.
We'll have to teach them.
So I'm going to spend a few moments giving her a head start. Okay, it's not a robot; it's a traffic signal.
No. No.
Excuse me, I'm all choked up on that one.
No.
Okay, so
it's a dam, not a tank. A tank is a round thing that you put stuff in.
Yeah.
And a dam is what water. It's a body of water. It's a dam.
Okay.
Not a
so
tank.
It's a hood, not a bonnet.
No.
A bonnet is what four-tracker women wore on their head. That's a bonnet. It's a trunk, not a boot. Of course, you might be mistaken for Canadian if you say a boot.
I think you need to make us a document with all of these, because I've been binge watching YouTube trying to get the lingo going so I can blend in, not have to answer all of these questions and stuff. But every now and then the Afrikaner comes out, So,
well, it will.
Yeah.
So I will try to this chair doesn't like me. I will try to reassure about one thing. There are thousands of Afrikaners in America, spread out all over the country. Many of them immigrated before this refugee thing over the years. Some have been there 10, 20 years, some going back, some have just arrived. Plus, we also have a lot of agricultural workers that come over the H-2A visas that come over. So it's not like there aren't Afrikaners. When I went to Rossi Rasmus's first game as a head coach in our dilapidated third world JFK or RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. against Wales, there were about 25,000 people there. I would have to say that at least 15,000 of them are Afrikaners that live in America.
Really?
Yeah, they came to the game. So you will find Afrikaners. And there are Afrikaner events. There's a couple musical festivals. I think one's in Texas and maybe one's in Carolinas. But there are things out there. You just have to look for it. But, okay, so you get over there. You're flying over Sunday night, and you'll get there Monday.
Yes.
They're obviously going to take you somewhere, brief you. Have you been told whether there's a press conference? Because I projected that there's likely to be a press conference for the first group.
Yes, we were told that there would be a press conference when we touch down. I don't know how that's going to work because it's going to be very late. So
yeah, but unlike South African media, American media is awake 24 hours a day.
Okay.
So if they get a whiff from the Washington Post or the Washington Times or ABC, NBC, CBS,
they're going to be waiting.
They will be at the airport. And I suspect the State Department will probably tell them if you're having a press briefing that we're having a press briefing and you will be inundated by lights and cameras flashing. So don't let that intimidate you. I've got my weapons. All right. So, so that's so a press conference. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. You know, I was saying that maybe the first people go over, and I don't know if you know this, may get to meet the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, or maybe even President Trump, because it's kind of a big deal.
Yes, and that in itself is very intimidating. You know, those are very big men in the world, and for them to actually take notice and finally pay attention to what's going on is really great.
President Trump, to my knowledge, is the first head of state in over a century to recognize the Afrikaners as a people.
Yes.
It's pretty huge.
Yes, it is.
People have been thanking me. I didn't do it. I mean, I recognize Afrikaners as people for my entire life, but I'm not president of the United States. So President Trump did that. So you can see it's very emotional for him, as it is for many Afrikaners, because they've been ignored, neglected. They've been the pariahs of the world and blamed for the evils of a small group of politicians who created a system that really, in my view, hurt everybody.
Well, yes, and not only that, you know, most of us, I believe that's in this group, we had no say over that law.
Right.
We had no say as to whether or not we agreed with it. We didn't vote for it.
It was just there.
It was just there, and we are just a backlash. And I mean, come on now, it ended 31 years ago. How long are we going to carry on?
Well, more importantly, when will government take responsibility for its own actions?
Yeah, no,
that's the sad part.
And you know, I've had a lot of time driving up and down, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, the media is lashing out at us. Yes, but you are the people that's from apartheid. No, I did not vote for it. I did not agree on it. Are you still punishing the slave traders' descendants?
Yeah.
You know,
are you punishing the Crusaders' descendants? Are you punishing the people from the monarchy's descendants?
So why are you beating us up? I mean, we get beat up over here, we get beat up over there. And fortunately, as a result of that, we've got thick skins, and we can, you know, hold our heads high and be gracious about it, you know, or graceful about it, and just answer with dignity, because that's how we were taught. We were not taught to be vindictive people, which is why we are in this boat, because we don't retaliate. We are peace-loving, defensive people, just wanting to do our own thing, be left alone, so we can work hard, earn our way, and just live in peace. And we're not getting that.
It's not too much to ask for, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
But the good news in all of this is you've won Willy Wonka's golden ticket.
Yes, and there's
I mean, does it feel like that?
Not yet. I don't think it's actually
sinking
in you
believe it when you land.
Yes.
And you get through immigration. They stamp your passport.
Yes.
Until then, it's not real.
Until then, it's not real.
Okay.
So Yeah, it's a very surreal feeling. I don't know how to describe it. It's excitement mixed with terror, and that's
Sure.
the only way I can say is terror. Because I mean, I come from a farm. Okay,
Mhm.
having to come here, the first time I parked in Sandton City was the first time I'd gotten into a lift
In your life?
in 30 years.
Oh, okay. But still, that's a while.
Yes.
Wow,
And
yeah, a serious farm girl here.
freaked me out.
Seriously.
It freaked me out. And then I had to come out. And so I'm at the boom thing and I stick my ticket in and it kicks it out. I stick my ticket in and it kicks it
Did you
out.
put it in wrong?
No, you're supposed to pay for it, apparently.
Oh,
But
okay.
nobody told me that.
Okay. So
And I had a
bright
car-
lights, big city.
Yeah, exactly. So they finally got me turned around, got the cars behind me moved because now this, I cannot
Back
go
up.
this way. And now I'm standing in front of this machine. Now, what do? Where does the ticket go? Where do you pay for it? So for me, going over there, that's even bigger than that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's scary.
I can imagine. Let me ask you a few questions about process, because I know a lot of people who are interested in doing this are going to have questions. South Africans can't seem to go anywhere without their pets. Do you have any pets, and are you taking them with you, or did you leave behind?
I do. I cannot take them with me at the moment. There's somebody looking after them. I need to find a job first.
Because you have to pay for them yourself.
Because I have to pay for them myself.
And it's not cheap.
No, it's not.
Did you inquire to see how much it was?
Yes, I have.
Were you shocked? I tried to warn people because I sent my pets through South Africa.
It's a small fortune. It's going to take 3 months' salary.
Yeah. Well, 3 months South African salary anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe not US salary.
Well, 3 months salary. Now you're starting to try and do the conversion from rand to dollars or dollar to rand. So the brain is starting to work already.
It'll have to when you get that side, because just if you give somebody a 20, they're gonna. Yeah, a $20 is not 20 rand. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
So you do have pets, but they're gonna have to stay for now. But if you can raise the money, get this side, you're gonna try to bring them over.
I'm gonna try and bring them over.
All right, but that answers a question that I was correct, that you have to pay for the pets.
You have to pay for it yourself.
And we've addressed the other piece about the medical examinations and immunizations. You don't pay anything; they take care of that. They schedule that. You pay nothing for the. Well, what about the transportation? Or now this might be different because you're in a pilot project. I don't know. Are they taking care of it? Or do you have to pay for it?
Well, they have not mentioned anything. I suspect we'll find that out.
Okay.
But no, at this point, they have not asked for anything.
Okay. But again, I think that's because it's a pilot project.
Yes, I think so. So, sorry, I've got a.
You need a tissue.
That's okay.
Okay. So far it's cost you nothing.
No.
You've got to take your pets over. You're leaving your property, and someone's managing it and hopefully to sell it. Yeah. And maybe you'll be fortunate, because if a whole bunch of people start flooding out of here, the price of land is going to drop like a rock.
Yeah, I hope so. The other thing that...
Well, you don't hope the price drops.
I do.
Oh, you do?
I do. Sorry, my brain is running at 100.
I'm sure. You've got a million things in your mind.
Yeah.
You've got to get back. I think you have a briefing this evening.
Yes, but there's something I quickly wanted to address, and I see people asking, what documents do I need when I go for my interview, this kind of stuff. Now, for the men, it's not a problem, because you don't have an alias. If you've been married,
okay, guys. What's on? Yeah, it's your maiden name.
Exactly. So, for the males, just an unabridged birth certificate and a passport.
That's all the documentation was needed. But a passport was needed, correct?
Yes, a passport was needed.
I believe one of my viewers let the cat out of the bag, saying they can confirm a passport because they didn't have passports, and I think they couldn't progress any further.
No, you need a passport. You cannot go without it.
And that's what I said my conclusion was.
No, you've got to have a passport. And then for the women, if you've been married and divorced, they want the marriage certificate with your previous name on it, and a divorce decree with your previous name on it. So if you were married 3 or 4 times, for each
good luck with that. You shouldn't have had so many practice husbands. Find one that sticks.
That's it. So you're going to need all of those documentation with your aliases on it.
Yes, the different surnames you've had.
Right. Okay. So it becomes,
because they're going to check all the surnames for background checks.
Yes. So that is a big thing that you're going to have to gather and take with you. So for the females, it's the unabridged birth certificate, it's your passport, your South African ID, and then all of your aliases. that you had prior to that.
Okay.
Very important.
That was my supposition. That's what my analysis would be the case, because the investigators who do background checks will have to be able to look all these different names up.
Right.
And if you don't tell them, they suddenly find one, then what were you hiding? And I don't know what they've told you, State Department. I've told people, because they ask, so what happens if the administration changes and there's a Democratic president? Do they send this back? And I said, no, the law only allows for people to be sent back if the underlying conditions that led to the reason for you to flee have changed favorably. So that would mean the conditions that President Trump says are there, the 140 plus race laws and the hateful rhetoric against. Yeah. So, and besides, refugees never go home.
No, they
the
don't.
librarians are still there 35 years later,
Right.
and their country's perfectly safe.
No,
I live there.
I'm not even worried about that at all. Not at all. The other documents that you need is if you have parents and family members as deceased, because it's part of your questionnaire, by the way, was spot on. It was on point, because I actually used it. And when I took it out and showed the interviewer, he said, you came prepared. I'm like, Colonel Chris Wyatt.
Well, to be fair, those were questions I came up with, and many of them came from one of the people that had one of the interviews. And I vetted the questions myself based on my experience, and took the questions and formatted them a little bit differently. And I didn't want to tell people that was the list, because there is no list. I mean, if I'm the investigator, I could ask you those questions and many more. But it was a helpful list, and that facilitated the process.
It was. And
cool beans.
Yeah. But they never asked for social media accounts.
Okay.
And they never asked for.
I said it was a possibility.
Yeah. But my interview, they could have asked that
for someone else.
For someone else, yes.
I bet you they'd ask Willem Petzer. And your channel is what? I'm sure they would ask him. All right. Well, that's very helpful. I think a lot of people will have some of their concerns and fears allayed. Yeah. I think the biggest thing is we sit here in the afternoon of May 10th, and the Bulls are about to play. I'm going to be late to the game because of you, by the way.
I'm so sorry.
No, there's no need to apologize. It's okay. I don't mind being late to a Bulls game for this conversation. But as we sit here on the afternoon of the 10th of May, a day before you're scheduled to fly, planes have mechanical issues, so we're not, so we may have to hold. We may have to hold the interview. But as we sit here, it's real. All these people that are rubbishing President Trump and rubbishing the refugee offer and saying it's not real, no one's going to go, and it's only farmers. In your case, you are a farmer, but we know that other people.
It's happening.
Yeah, there you go. There's the proof right there. There's the proof. And the proof in the pudding will be at a press conference. They've asked if you'd be willing. You said you'd be willing to participate in a press conference despite all the bright lights, and for a farm girl, the big city.
I know that there are going to be trolls, and I know that there's going to be attacks, and I know that there's going to be a whole bunch of negativity from other sources. But what can you do to me that hasn't been done before?
That's a fair point.
What can hurt me more?
While we haven't delved into, because we don't need to get emotional and dredge up difficult memories, what's actually happening in farm attacks, if they start pulling that on you there, pull out a farm attack and tell them what happened. It may be difficult, but that should shut them up.
I've got scars. I can take pictures.
Oh, good Lord. We don't need to. So, yeah, but it's real. It's real.
Yes.
All the people rubbished it. They're all frauds.
They are.
They're disinformation and misinformation people.
It's propaganda as far as I'm concerned. They don't want us to go, but they don't want us here. So what do you want us to do? You don't want us. You don't want us to leave. What?
Fair point. You're just stuck in the middle. So, but let me ask this question, because I don't want to put you on the spot, but this is an amazing country with amazing people.
Beautiful.
And fantastic people who are black, who are white, who are brown. But it's come to this for you.
It has. And it's pretty sad because, I was raised on a farm, and I had black friends.
Yeah.
And I got spanked by my black friend's mother because we got up to mischief.
Misbehaving. That's what kids do.
Exactly. So, and then now that I'm older and I look back on that and I'm thinking, I wonder what old Anna would have said if she was alive.
I think she would be disappointed in South Africa today.
She would have been.
I think Madiba would be heartbroken too. What happened?
Heartbroken.
He wanted reconciliation. He wanted people to work together.
Yes.
And most people do, but it's the politicians and the people.
Heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Have you thought about your first meal in America?
No, I've got to get through this first. And right now, food is the last thing on my brain.
Well, the upside of that, not that you need to, but it may be a slimming program if you're
Well,
not eating.
I do need to slim up a little bit,
But
so-
you might be slimming because you just can't eat. Yeah.
I think I'm going to try me pulled pork.
Okay. That's actually a popular dish in America. We even have this red, white, and blue restaurant that has pulled pork. It's a chain. There's a few in the mid states in the South. I don't know where you're going to end up, but
I don't know.
It won't be Hawaii. No, they don't send refugees to Hawaii. I'm just telling you that. So if you had that, if you had that heart, well, I mean, no one can afford to live there. So why would we send a refugee there? And probably won't be Alaska, but it's not impossible. But if you had your druthers, knowing what you know of the states, do you have a state in mind, a place you'd like to go?
Maine.
Maine? Oh, well, I like
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. Okay.
Vermont.
Oh, you like the fall colors and the changes.
Far away as
Okay.
possible. And I do. I love the. See, I love the
Seasons.
The seasons changing.
Okay.
And watching Mother Nature going from sleep to waking up to vibrance to yawning to going to sleep. For me, that's how the seasons work.
Well, and I agree. Everything being the same all the time is kind of boring. I like the seasonal change. And also for me, when I lived in the Southern Hemisphere, Christmas in the summertime just isn't right. I'm sorry. It just doesn't feel right.
That's going to be an experience.
Yeah, probably snow, unless you're in Florida or Southern California.
That would be nice. A real white Christmas.
Yeah, I think you'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks, I think that we've taken a lot of things time. She's going to have to go fight the traffic to get to where she needs to go for this evening. But I want to thank you for trusting me.
You're welcome.
And for sharing.
Thank you for being trustworthy and for being spot on and the absolute epitome of what journalism should be like. And I think there's a lot of folks out there that calls themselves journalists that can come and learn from you.
No, it's very kind of you.
And it's something that that I will tell everybody as long as I've got a voice and they would listen.
If you see President Trump, you can drop my name, okay? Marco Rubio too. Okay.
Whether they ask me or not.
Okay, well, there you go. Here's that 20 Rand, I promise you. You can't buy anything with that. Maybe pay for your parking. That's about it. Well, thank you so much. It's when you get to that side, everyone's gonna be curious where you go. You don't have to tell people the town unless you want to. Although America's big, you know. But I have an open invitation to talk to you.
I guess they'll better watch your channel.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the time or the inclination to do this kind of thing. It's not something that interests me. So I think if they want to know how I muck up my first car purchase.
Well, you wouldn't be the first one.
Or putting, what do you call it, gasoline?
Yes, petrol,
into
gasoline.
A diesel tank.
Yeah, that's going to be hard because we make it so it's difficult. The nozzles won't fit.
Oh, so it's blonde proof.
Yes, it's blonde proof.
Cool.
I have avoided blonde jokes the entire conversation. She brought it up, but yeah, it's blonde proof. We have a little thing in there so you can't fit the nozzle.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that's we made it dummy proof a long time ago because people did it. So yeah, you know, it's Bill Engvall says, you know, stupid people should wear signs.
Yeah, and you know, probably get caught driving on the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, that you have to be careful of. Be careful.
Yes.
We call those people in Germany Geistfahrer, which means ghost drivers because they have a death wish.
Yeah, we'll have to pay attention to that. So I don't foresee myself getting in behind a steering wheel anytime soon until the brain has rewired itself to...
Well, the good news for you, Thea, is that most American cars these days are an automatic transmission, which takes some of the burden of the shift. I mean, the adjustment over. You don't have to worry about moving the transmission. It's just, it goes. So that makes it a little bit easier to make that transition. But yeah, please drive on the correct side of the road, the right side of the road. All right. And if you do come to Pennsylvania, you can actually come hang out on my lawn. We'll have a braai.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yay.
So you are welcome to come to my house.
No tents allowed, though.
None of these other folks. No FEMA tents.
No camping.
Anyway, is there anything you'd like to say? And I'd ask you to look at the camera for this to South Africans who may be interested in this and just, you know, what you're going through. And just I'll give you a few moments before we wrap up just to talk to the audience, okay?
Guys, don't get inside your head. Don't get bogged down. Send the email to PRM. Then go and get your passports and all your documents together. Don't freak out. Don't listen to media. Block out the noise. Listen to the colonel. He's been spot on since this thing started in February. So there's a lot of white noise. There's a lot of propaganda out there. There's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of haters. The guys that started the Great Trek in the 1800s faced exactly the same thing we faced. They had to pack what they could into an ox wagon and head into the unknown. And I'm sure they had a lot of friends and family that was blissing them,
Thought they were crazy.
Call them lunatics. But that's what built this country, is bravery like that. And it is. It takes a lot of bravery to step off a cliff and hoping that somebody is going to catch you when you fall. Because that's what it is. You've got this blind faith, like a child, that I'm going to step off this cliff and at the bottom there's going to be a cushion and I'm going to be okay. But don't get bogged down in the nitty-gritty. Get your stuff ready. We'll get, if you want to, I'm going to have a lot of time. I can do a list of kind of the documentation and stuff that they've asked for, that you can put out there for the folks. But don't give up. Don't give up. Never, ever, ever give up. Put your name in there. If it takes 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you must understand this is a long process. And each and every single interview and the medical, each was 4 hours. And I was one person. Now you get families of 4, and they interview the husband and the wife separately. So that's 8 hours for one couple.
To make sure they're both telling the truth.
Exactly. Do not lie.
Yep. As I not said that from the beginning. Be honest. If you've committed a crime, you have to be honest about it.
Do not lie, because they know.
Yep.
And they know that you know they know.
They know that
so
you know.
Be truthful. Show up on time. Prepare yourself to wait, to be there for 4 or 5 hours. I mean, my one interview was 5-6 hours because of my my Air Force background and having been in an Army Women's College.
So that, I'm sorry, I interrupt you, but because this is your moment to talk, but that also raises something that people are asking. People are like, they aren't going to take former military members, or they are going to take it. That really probably didn't play a role, did it?
Well, that just blew it out of the water.
Yeah. That had nothing to do with it.
No.
You just had to tell them.
You just have to tell them, and they will question you about that, because obviously they want to know if you were involved in any illegal stuff.
Special ops,
exactly.
Special branch of the police or something like that.
Right, exactly. So just be truthful if you were, because believe me, they'll
find out.
they already know before they ask the question.
Former federal law enforcement official, yeah, so I can attest that we find things out.
Right. So do not lie. Take your paperwork. Be prepared. Be prepared to wait for a long time. Be prepared to be there a long time. Be prepared to get your shots and be dewormed like a puppy.
I'm sorry. That's just funny, Tia. That's funny. Be dewormed like a puppy. At least we had a lighthearted moment.
Give you 2 pills, okay? 2. No, 1, 2.
Oh my goodness.
And they go and fetch the water for you so that you can, right while they're watching you.
Look under your tongue when you're done?
They watch you drink those 2 pills, okay?
Oh my goodness.
But I'm not somebody that will take anything that I'm not comfortable with. And I check the names. So then I go, Uncle Google, what was this? And no COVID injections. Don't freak out. Don't freak out.
That's not part of it.
No, it's just the basic stuff that the kiddos get, and you get a flu shot.
Yeah, they're basically childhood immunizations that we get in America routinely.
Oh, that's it. So,
and then they're not always universal around the world, but the Americans, you can't come to the country with an infectious disease. That's what they're trying to stop.
Right.
Well, Thea, you've got to get back to where you need to get back, and I don't want you to have to fight too much traffic. I don't want you to be late and get chewed out. So we need to wrap it up here, and hopefully on the other side, when you get there, we'll get a chance to talk, and we'll do it live and let people bring their questions, and I'll have my moderators
follow me if they want
more the trolls.
Yes. Use your bunny.
Like she gave me a bunny. You'll see that when I go on air next time. Anyway, it's a pleasure, and thank you for doing this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm a hugger.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And I'll see you stateside.
Yeah, then she can welcome me to America instead of the other way around. Anyway, thanks a lot.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, folks, more to follow on this story, and this interview is recorded before anyone heads to America. The media today was telling me people are already on their way. They're not on their way. To me, they're on their way when they're on a plane in the air headed towards U.S. airspace. And that will happen tomorrow. The good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. As
Yes,
we say.
that's right.
All right, we'll catch you
Let's
next
hope all
time.
rich.
God bless. Thank you, Thea.
Thanks. Bye.